when growth watches you die. The emotional consequences of coaching culture. Somewhere along the line, she stopped seeing me as a human being and started seeing me as an obstacle. That's what coaching culture teaches. Not overtly, not cruelly, but through 1,000 little redefinitions. Attachment becomes codependence. Love becomes limitation. Guilt becomes a signal you're being manipulated. And when she embraced that ideology, she didn't just leave the marriage. She left the capacity to care. In 2020, she began a new role that exposed her to the coaching room and its worldview. NLP, Neuro-Semantics, integral leadership, and the so-called science of transformation. All as part of an L&D development job. But this wasn't the start of her shift. It was the ignition. She had been primed for years through wellness culture, pseudoscience, spiritual bypassing, and manifesting ideologies. Coaching gave it all structure. It gave her permission. And worse, it gave her a vocabulary that sanctified detachment. This is why coaching failed her and failed us. Coaching didn't ask who she was. It didn't see context, history, or internal conflict. It skipped straight to desire. It asked, what do you want? And built a belief system around that answer, no matter how self-serving or destructive. Psychology, on the other hand, would have stopped her there. A psychologist would have asked why she wanted what she did. They would have explored the roots, the wounds, the contradictions. They would have considered the scenario that did eventually unfold. They certainly wouldn't have offered up an affair as a catalyst. Coaching didn't explore the psyche. It bypassed it. And yet, paradoxically, coaching did encourage introspection, but only the kind that searched for problems to justify walking away. She turned a 25-year marriage into a list of faults. My eating habits, my quirks, a home, the color of the bricks on a house we chose together in 2000. Everything became evidence that she had outgrown the life we built. Coaching handed her a lens that magnified discontent and labeled it misalignment. And beneath it all was a deeper problem. This wasn't just secular performance-focused coaching. What we saw was spiritually aligned coaching, spiritually aligned L&D. Just like religion should never belong in a workplace, spirituality shouldn't either. When belief systems, especially ones based on personal transcendence and detachment, are introduced through leadership programs, they don't just shape workplace behavior, they reshape identities. And in her case, they help deconstruct a family. In that new framework, our 25-year marriage became a pattern. I became a mirror. Our shared history became a story she had outgrown. And when I broke down slowly, then suddenly the ideology offered her a protective shield. I was no concern. I was simply not doing the work. Let's be clear. I didn't fall apart because she left. I collapsed because she rewrote our past, denied our reality, and watched me crumble while cloaking herself in the language of growth. I tried to take my life 3 times. On one of those occasions, my 16-year-old son found me in bed after an overdose. She knew I was depressed. She knew I had developed agoraphobia. She knew I was isolated, unraveled, hollowed out. And still, she sent me mixed signals for 9 months. Still, she kept the door half open. Still, she walked away from moments of reflection when they came too close to accountability. Because the coached mindset teaches you how to walk it back. Any crack in the new self-image is a threat to the narrative. And when everything is a story, the person you used to love becomes just a character you're done with. This is the hidden violence of coaching culture. Not physical, not always loud, but total. It's the erasure of shared meaning in favor of personal branding. It's the death of empathy, framed as emotional intelligence. It's self-worship dressed as liberation. The world sees her as a woman who chose herself. What they don't see, because coaching culture trained her not to show it, is what that choice cost the people around her, especially those who didn't get the memo that our lives were being reframed. And that's why I keep writing. Not because I'm stuck, but because the story they're selling only works if people like me stay silent. She changed, but not because of some inner truth she discovered. She changed because she was taught to. And when I lay dying inside my own grief, her transformation stayed intact. Because that's the real power of this ideology. It doesn't just teach people how to grow. It teaches them how to watch someone else die and still feel enlightened. He's no longer my problem.